Hello, hello, hello. Coming back at you guys with my own update on the Shanquella story as to whether or not Daejahane has been arrested. My last video posted told of her being arrested, and this was supposed to have taken place on November the 28th. Well, during an interview with Mr. Geraldo Zuniga, who is a media mogul and investigative reporter from a site called Metropolis MX out of Mexico, and a lot of guys have seen him interview because he's been interviewing everywhere, not only on social media sites, but he's been interviewing at pretty many places, and he's almost a household name now. Well, Mr. Zuniga said that one of his inside sources, which is from the Mexican police officials, where he say he has several sources that he's getting his information from, and most of his information so far has been pretty much reliable. He stated that his inside source had given him information that Daejahane had been arrested. Well, he's been pretty reliable so far, and we don't know if it's a misunderstanding or misinformation that he got from his informant, or if the informant got some bad information, or whether it may be true. We honestly can't say, from the research that a lot of us has done. Okay, but he stated that she had been arrested on November 28th, and he stated at that time that it would not be immediately announced to the public. He also stated that it would probably be announced one day next week, from what he was told. And from what we gather, there's a lot of red tape that has to be resolved in order to extradite Daejahane back to Mexico. And it's not only information that needs to be done and hoops that need to be jumped through on the Mexico side, but also on the U.S. side. Now, so far, Shanquella's family is saying that they haven't received any information or been told anything about anybody being arrested, and that they haven't received any information from anywhere. And now many of the social media sites are questioning whether or not this information given by Mr. Zuniga is genuine. But we are going to be patient and keep our ears and eyes open until we know something for sure. And that's what you have to do, guys. Now, Mr. Geraldo Zuniga has been interviewed again since the interview that he did announcing that Daejahane had been arrested. He stated in an interview with the lead attorney, and you guys can find that because he has some good information too, and I really like him a lot. He's the perfect person for to deal with this Mexico case. He said he stayed in Mexico for 5 years himself. And a good thing about the lead attorney is that not only did he live in Mexico for 5 years, as he stated, he also speaks fluent Spanish, and he does a beautiful job at speaking Spanish. I was very impressed. You could tell that he knows his stuff, and he spent time there, and he was able to interpret for Mr. Zuniga, who don't speak English, as from what we know. Okay, now getting back. Other social media sites has also made some statements of Daejahane fleeing to Connecticut right after returning home from CABO and after that horrible, despicable act that was done there in CABO. They stated that she had gone to Connecticut, just as he stated, and that she was there with some family. But I had another source that stated that she left Connecticut and that she's now somewhere in Texas. I'm not sure exactly where. Houston, maybe, but somewhere in Texas. And they're saying that she has family members there as well in Texas. But I don't think that I would have left Connecticut and went to Texas, because you're further away from the Mexican border if you in Connecticut. I think I might would have even went to Washington State somewhere. I would not have gone that close to the Mexican border. I would have went all the way to the other side of the map somewhere. So they would have had far to take me to get me back down there to get me prosecuted or, charged with anything. Because from what I gather, it's not a good place to be incarcerated in jail in Mexico, because they don't have the rights there that we have here in the United States for what little good they do us here in the United States. But they don't even have that. But at either rate, we have to remember that this horrible tragedy that Daejahane is being accused of did not happen on U.S. soil. So there's going to be a lot of legal issues that has to be resolved both here in the U.S. and in Mexico before she can be detained. And I say detained because that's all that the U.S. can do, according to my research. Also, a former FBI agent named, I'm going to say Jennifer Coffindaffer. If I messed it up, I apologize. But she did an interview with the Pasco show. And in the interview, she said that she feels a lot has been accomplished so far, since it's being said that the FBI has actually officially opened a case into the matter. And she feels that once the FBI and the Mexican officials has all the paperwork in order, that Daejahane will be located and detained. And at that time, the family members will be notified that she's been detained, and that this is probably going to be the time that it's going to be officially announced to the public and to the news media, and that'll be when the story, is going to be official. She said it takes a lot to even get as far as they've gotten, and it tells her that they have gone pretty far in order to be able to, at least get a case open and started. So they're working on it, guys. Also remember now that as an American citizen, Daejahane still have rights. She can actually obtain herself an attorney, and if I was her, I would, and fight extradition back to Mexico. And that would be the smart thing to do. I'm not sure how things would work with the U.S. if they would be willing to turn her over, because most countries don't want to turn people over that easily. Look at what's going on with Brittany Griner right now. Although we don't have any issues with Mexico, so it's not like we want to use anybody for negotiations or anything of that sort. But still, I think that I would go ahead and get me an attorney and try to fight the extradition, because from what I have researched on Mexican jails, they are not pleasant, and it would probably be in her best interest to challenge being sent back to Mexico for trial. They say that they are deplorable, the jails there are deplorable, that you basically have no kind of rights, you don't have anything. But honestly, my opinion is that they all of them, the whole entire CABO 6, they best better lawyer up immediately, if they haven't already, and start preparing themselves. They better prepare themselves for the fight of their lives. They still have the right to engage in this fight. They still got it right. But Shanquella no longer has that right, and she don't have the option to just lawyer up to fight. She didn't fight, and that's why she should still be here today, but she's not. So take a moment, guys, and keep her in prayer, and keep her family in prayer, because it's going to be a rough ride to get through all of this, all the emotions that they may have control over now. When things start happening, and they're going to start happening, when people start getting picked up and people start talking and be taken back to Mexico and start thinking about time in jail there, they're going to start talking, and it's going to re-emerge all those emotions that the family think, that the family and us as well think that we have control over. So guys, keep them all in prayer. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you guys. Would you please do me a favor? Can you like and subscribe to the channel? It really would be good to have the subscribers, and that way you can be updated on any of the upcoming updates, because I'll be back again once I receive some information. I'll be jumping back on again today and trying to research me some more info to bring you guys. I want to keep everybody informed. I want to keep everybody abreast of the story, because we need justice for Shanquella. Thanks again, guys. Love you so much. Please, please, please like, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button so you'll know when videos are being dropped. And thank you so much again. Love you guys. Updates coming.